Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks and Merry Christmas. Christmas is in
really
2
nice.
days.
I
You
love
look
your
really
scarf.
nice and you
Love
have pins on and very Christmassy.
Mom likes pins. You guys, why is it?
Why
that
are
when
you
I
so
can't-
short? And I can't get the camera up any higher because it
I
loses the television.
need to be up higher.
You need a little
so you
stool.
can see both pins.
And then you'd be the same height as me. Look at that. Look, what would happen if Leah was the same height? How about I could just come down?
Pins. I should put them up on
This
my
is what it's like
shoulder.
to be Leah.
I have to realize that you guys can't see my pins unless they're like pretty much on my ear.
You can wear them as earrings. Just like tangled down.
We're gonna get a studio in 2019 in the basement.
We actually are going to do that. That is on the
And
list.
It's gonna be all set up so that like when it's 1 o'clock, we just go.
And we don't have to lug everything out and do the lights. And
We're going to be on time. Oh, wait. New Year's resolution 2019.
every show starts punctually at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time
Yeah.
on Sundays.
On Sundays at 1. If you guys even show up here at this time at 1:30.
I've got to tell you guys, I have been to channels where they tell you you're going to go live. If they're 5 minutes late, I'm just
like,
so upset. I'm like,
Gone.
forget you, whatever.
I have things to do today.
I
can't
believe
wait
you
for
guys.
you. You're literally, you said you were going to go live at 5 o'clock and it's 5:01.
I know.
I'm done. I'm done with you.
Walking away. So the fact that you guys
On
put up
Sundays
with
at 1,
us and are
to treat
patient.
others how you would want to be treated,
Yeah.
it's really, we need to be better human beings.
We do.
New Year's resolution, be a better human being.
Show up on time to your own show.
Show up on
I keep telling Leah, I was like, Leah, we should just switch the show time. And she's like, yeah, but then we would show up a half hour later than that.
No, yeah, let's tell people why. I mean, it's our busiest time of year. We're
Oh
doing
my
a
gosh.
lot of stuff. We're
4
juggling,
hours of sleep we got last night.
We're juggling a lot of balls, but guess what, guys? You are so important to us, and we look forward to seeing you. And it's not when we say that we're running late or something, it's because we want to make sure that we have things decently together because we want to come to you.
Or we could just throw stuff at you and maybe
Which
it's not
is
factual.
What, no. I'm going to tell you, which is what I actually had thought about doing. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not exactly sure where we're going with our show today. Let's just do an episode on a friend of mine, and I actually have an article up, sent me the forward to a book by a man that I had not heard of. His name is, as we're bringing people, his name is Whitaker Chambers. And he was part of one of these great trials in the middle of the 20th century, 1900s, the 20th century, showcasing the infiltration of communists working with Soviet Russia.
Yeah.
To bring about communist principles into our government. And so what we have today is this crazed thing where it really was communists in our government.
Right.
They called themselves progressives.
Exactly.
And they had a communist ideology, and that is how we got the New Deal. The 20th century, World War I and World War II, actually the result of that was the spread of communism.
Right.
So when I was reading this, I was like, this is all about Europe, because it's not about, in America, the lid on communism was kind of kept it down because the Christianity was so strong, and our founding fathers, their forethought and their prayers for us set up a framework of government that even the most subversive,
that's a good word for it,
minds couldn't destroy it. Now they could undermine it, but they couldn't destroy it. But the European countries, Poland and Hungary and
I'm sharing this on Twitter and Facebook. You should too.
Didn't have the same constitutional republic framework set up. And so when, boom, here come the Bolsheviks, they just ramrod over everybody.
Right.
And if I was going to go in this direction, which I still want to talk about this with you guys, because Europe is at a what do you call something that's 3 crossroads? Three things.
I think you could still call it a crossroads.
A crossroads with
it's a
communism,
an impasse, a crossroads,
Islamism, and Christianity.
Yeah.
The 3 main ideologies that people will both dedicate their entire lives to changing the world for,
Mm.
and will live and die for it. And as
Right.
Whittaker Chambers talks about communism, it's so easy to just say, oh, communism is about the Politburo. Communism is about gulags. Communism is about subversive techniques and spying on people.
Right.
But that's the result of communism. But the ideology, and this is perfect for Christmas time, which is why I want to bring this to you guys. I'm so glad you're here, because
We're so glad you're here.
Whittaker Chambers talks about the convergence of two faiths. In America, you have Christianity, which believes in freedom, natural rights, that each human being has individual intrinsic value. Whereas in communism, you have an ideology of change, and you want things to change, and you want equality.
Right.
But the person and the individual have no intrinsic value.
Well, and the way you were explaining it to me this morning was that, communism, you and I may look at it and go, how on earth could anybody ever want to join communism or think that it would be the better way? And what he does a great job of is explaining the lure that, because our brains don't think that way. We've never experienced it. He experienced it. He came out of it.
Right.
And so he's trying to explain, listen, if you don't understand what causes people to want to get behind communism with their very lives, then you will never be able to stop it from happening again.
Exactly. And he's talks about the difference between progressives and liberals and communists.
Wow.
Progressives and liberals have the same ideology, the same ideas, the same desire for change that a communist has.
Yeah.
But they're not willing to put their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor, basically, on the line for it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference in Christianity, because we know that our founding fathers believed in the same. What it does is communism and Islamism.
What is sacred fortune, by the way? I love that term. Our lives, our honor, and sacred fortune.
The way I think of that is it's like your
awesome.
posterity and what you leave to your posterity.
Yeah.
Financial wealth, and it's your
right.
It's
sacred is holy, and
Yeah, and so
very
basically
good.
not being able to pass things on to next generations. Like, you're just gone, your name's written off. I mean, Thomas Jefferson lost everything. James Madison lost everything. George Washington lost everything.
Exactly.
People don't recognize that when they're fighting. They lost it because they lost it, not because of the founding of this country because of revolution. They lost it because they didn't back slavery. Little known fact, James Madison gave up all his slaves.
Right. Well, that's why Thomas Jefferson went under, essentially.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson
He almost lost Monticello.
Yeah, exactly. And
he's this close.
Right. And so when we're talking about these principles, they all reach to the same part of a human being. Now, not everybody is going to have this great desire inside of them. It stirs up in individuals who have this
capacity.
The best way I can describe it is it's people who have the capacity to believe in something and put their lives on the line for it. It's the people who want to touch the essence of living, the most powerful essence of living. Yeah. But what happens is communism not only falls short, it causes death and depression and destruction, and so does Islamism. Okay? Because what we're seeing when we talk about when I bring to you guys all these horrible stories that we're going to bring to you, we do, based on Islamism.
Yeah.
Go roll it back 80 years, and we're bringing to you the horrible, awful ideology of communism.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not about, oh my gosh, the worst thing that's ever happened to the entire world is Islamism. Okay? Because
there was communism that was, if you had asked somebody in America, roughly 70 or 80 years ago, and what is the worst, they would say communism. Right. That's what they felt for their generation at their time, and they were right at the time.
And so what you have is this unequal balance. In the Middle East, Christianity was the dominating force since Jesus died.
Right.
Okay? 300 AD in Constantinople in Turkey, trying to be part of the European Union, but just can't quite make it because they're just
Erdogan,
dictatorship.
Exactly.
Even the European Union is like, oh, I can't abide Turkey. We in the EU, we are major dictators, but we can't abide that one because we're stupid, but we're just not that dumb. We're stupid, not that dumb. Okay? So, like, even when the European Union isn't letting you in, you might be an Islamic dictatorship. Okay? You just might be. So, when we talk about these different ideologies taking over, Islamism forced people to become Islamists at the point of a sword. Literally, hey, you either pay us or you convert or die. You have 3 choices, and most of the time, I don't really want your money. Just convert or die. Okay? So then, once everybody's placid and everybody's converted or dead, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then you have Islamism. You know, and the same thing can be said sometimes of Christianity in Europe as well.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of people in the Middle and Dark Ages. They're called Middle and Dark Ages for a reason because we were coming out of people don't realize we're coming out of just barbarism. And Islamism was born in a barbaric time, and Christianity was actually born out of a barbaric time to lift people up out of it.
Right.
Jesus said, "Hey y'all, somebody comes up and tries to hit you on one cheek, why don't you turn him and give him the other instead of, sticking the sword in him?" Okay. The Jews believed at that time that a Messiah was going to come. We're talking about Jesus. We're talking about Christmas. We're going to get to some European news definitely in a minute, but it's Christmas time. We got to be like Christmassy and talk about Jesus. Okay, that's what we got to do. Because we want to, and you want to. All right. And so the Jews believed that a Messiah was going to come and literally set the government upon his shoulders.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
But God did set the government upon his shoulders.
But they were expecting a tangible kingdom, so Jesus, like David.
So when Pilate takes Jesus aside and he's like, "Hey, Jesus, are you a king?
King to king.
King to king. Are you a king?" And he says to him, what does he say?
You say that I am.
But then he also said, my kingdom is
not of this world. Right.
He does have a kingdom. The kingdom.
Exactly.
So when we become Christians, okay, the Christianity is within the spiritual realm. So what we do is the Bible says when you're a Christian, you reign as kings and priests in the spiritual realm with your entire goal of bringing love and peace and justice and knowing what justice is, having God's justice inside of you and letting God, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord, right? Yeah. And praying for your governments that they will reward good and punish evil.
Right.
So knowing that when somebody murders somebody, you want to pray for a government that will punish that person. When somebody steals from somebody, you want to pray for a government that will punish that.
Right.
And a government that would bring peace and prosperity to those who didn't steal.
Yeah.
Didn't murder. Didn't, you know what I mean? So the idea is that spiritually, and that's the difference between communists, the big main difference is that Christianity wanted to bring justice, okay? When you see a widow and a fatherless and you want to take care of them, Christianity says, let's get together, let's take up a collection, let's take care of these people within our midst.
Right.
Communism just gets angry that there are poor people.
And then starts chopping off heads.
Starts going into the house of the czars, killing everybody from chicken to dog. Well, not chicken, they're eating them. They're chopping people's heads off. They're taking whole families, innocent people, and just this mass godlessness.
It's a crazed mindset.
It's a crazed mindset, and nobody ever gets justice. It's literally the whole King Solomon story where we just kill the baby.
Yeah.
We just kill the baby.
Cut the baby in half. Yeah. It's
right.
fine.
And so when we're talking about this, I want to bring you some idea of who this guy is, because there's a resurgence of communist thought and communist belief, because God has been pushed so far out of the UK, especially. And if you guys want to get a hold on Islamism, you're not going to be able to do it just simply by exposing the darkness. Because
you have to bring light.
Unless you bring light and love, people will still always, there are people whose souls need to live for something that's worth dying for.
Right.
that's just it. There are people whose souls who need to live for something that's worth dying for.
That was a mic drop moment.
Right?
Yes.
And so you have these people who are dedicated to ISIS, and you think that they're just crazy, weird people.
Right.
They're not. They're people who have been trained, and I've got videos who have been, as children, massively brainwashed. They get hit over the head, they get beaten. If you follow, I'll bring you one up. If you follow Iman Tawhidi, he knows and will tell you just how bad a lot of these Islamic schools are. And he posts videos all the time of these Quranic teachers literally beating the Quran into these children.
It's really hard for me to watch that, I have to be honest.
I'm guessing that I needed to... I don't think we have volume. I don't know if it's important, but...
No, we'll get it.
I'm not sure if it helps or not with this, but he... Yeah, you can hear him. We talked about this last week. Iman Tawhidi says, his teacher made him hold a pencil or something and hurt himself, and he was posting videos of Quranic teachers who would just go around. We played a video of Quranic teachers just beating these children. Now, these children might grow up to be an Islamic terrorist because as a child, their souls, their mind, their will, and emotion, they were broken. And so
when someone hits you, it breaks a part of you. And if it happens enough, it breaks you enough to always go toward violence. It happened to me. It's unfortunate that this is how the violence, this is how Islamic terrorism continues. I would venture to guess, and I think it's pretty solid, that it has never been an Islamic terrorist that wasn't somehow beaten at some point.
Yeah.
In their life. That violence has to come up.
So Iman Tawhidi says, as a young boy migrating from Iran to Australia, one of the things that confused me the most was that Muslims glorify their leaders despite never having the option of electing them, and Westerners criticize their leaders after having voting for them. Which is really kind of funny. And so he posted this the other day. Extremist mullah from Pakistan comes to Canada and teaches Canadian Muslims that a wife should be obedient to her husband and lick his wounds clean, not a metaphor.
Oh.
Wow. Okay, so you have these people who are just totally brought up in an ideology that not all of them are crazy, okay? Obviously, just like with communists, right? What happens is, I love what Whitaker says here. He says, and I'm going to botch his quote, with the materialism of communism, you distance yourself from, like, other people's human souls. So, like, when you're sending them to the gulag or you're beating them or something like that, you don't feel their pain. You don't feel who they are as an intrinsic human being.
Exactly.
Just to give you a background,
No, I just wanted anybody that's just kind of showing up. I wanted to re-up why we're talking about this person who has come out of communism and was explaining the lure that communism has, because he was saying, listen, if you don't know what the lure is, if you just say, oh, it's bad, you will never understand it enough to stop it from happening
again. I think it is equally applicable to Islamism.
Absolutely.
Because the draw of communism and the draw of Islam and the draw of Christianity are the same. They draw to the same inner part of a human being, but two lead to, and I'm not saying that the early verses of the Quran can be great and lead people to peace and life and stuff like that. There's good Muslims who actually live out peace and love, but they're not the intense ones who live and die for it.
Right.
Okay. And same thing with communism. The idea of a moderate Muslim is more of a liberal, not a communist. A communist lives and dies for it. A Christian lives and dies for it. An Islamist lives and dies for Islam. Okay. And two, in our humble opinion, lead to death and destruction. Right. And there is only one way that leads to life. And you've seen terror attack after terror attack and I'm going to keep going back and forth. I think this is really awesome. because one of the most horrid attacks that happened this week that I wanted to cover was 2 tourists in Morocco, 2 Scandinavian women were beheaded in Morocco.
You would think if they left, they're Scandinavian, they left that kind of side of the world, they might, but they went to Morocco. So.
Right. I actually have it up, but I'm not sure which one it is right now, so I'm going to bring up another one. Because I want to just bring it to you right away.
What goes through the minds of people to behead tourists? I'm interested to find out any details that you have on this story.
Family urges public not to watch Scandinavian tourist decapitation video. They decapitated these 2 young women and they put the video up. So people around the world have seen this video. I have chosen not to watch it, and I think that you can get a visual enough to know how horrendous it is.
Okay.
Before and after images of the severed heads of 2 young tourists murdered in Morocco have been posted to their moms' Facebook pages in a horror development. Let's see.
Oh my gosh.
Reiterated that this terrorist and criminal act is a stabbing in the back of Morocco and Moroccans.
يجري حاليا إخضاعهم لبحث قضائي.
At this moment, the 4 suspects are undergoing a judicial hearing under the supervision of a general attorney to find out the circumstances of this criminal act, to discover the background and real motives behind the perpetrating of it.
Okay, this is distressing content. Okay, uncensored images of the severed and partially severed heads of 2 Scandinavian tourists murdered in the Moroccan mountains have been plastered all over the Facebook page of one of their grieving mothers. It is not clear if the images were taken by investigators or the killers, but the horror development came after friends and family urged people not to watch the video showing the decapitation of one of the victims circulating online. The mutilated bodies of university students Louisa Vesterdrager Jespersen, 24, of Denmark, and 28-year-old Maren Uland of Norway were found on Monday at an isolated campsite 2 hours walk from the tourist village near Mount Tubukal. A graphic video purportedly showing Miss Jespersen's throat being slit, which was viewed that morning on news.com in Australia, is still being widely shared on numerous social media platforms, despite pleas for footage to be removed. In the video, 2 male voices can be heard shouting at the women in Darja, Moroccan or Arabic, as one of the killers is seen sawing at Miss Jessen's neck with a large knife. According to Darija speaking journalists at the Moroccan World News, one of the perpetrators declares, "This is a revenge for our brothers in Hajin," referring to the small Syrian town which was an ISIS stronghold. So they were doing this as in the name of ISIS. Which was liberated 2 weeks ago by the Syrian Democratic Forces. Vanessa Bailey says, "Please don't watch the Morocco video. You know what's going to be on it. You know what you'll see. Someone's precious daughters in their final moments, horrifically robbed of their lives. Don't give the monsters a satisfaction. You can give these beautiful girls dignity." So here they are, just regular, random, awesome, probably young girls who were just thought they were there hiking and camping and enjoying life.
Wow.
Earlier, several major news outlets, including The Guardian, the BBC, and the AFP, reported the video had been verified by the Danish authorities, but the Danish Security and Intelligence Service has since issued a statement denying the claim. So they're just gone. They're gone. In a shocking development, the Facebook page of Miss Yulin's mother, Irene, has been spammed with hundreds of horrible images of her daughter's slit throat. So they took it, they knew who she was, and they put it on her mother's Facebook page. You wake up, you open up your Facebook.
But was it before or after the mom had found out? Either way, it's still awful. I was just curious.
And there are pictures of your daughter, dead. Some appear to have been posted by local Moroccans in a bizarre attempt to express condolences, with the distressing images captioned with calls for the killers to be put to death. The former boyfriend of Louisa Jespersen has written an eloquent and utterly heartbreaking tribute to the woman he dated for 2 years. Glenn Martin, who stayed close friends with Miss Jesperson's even after they broke up several months ago, described her as a force of nature who refused to be limited by the world. And he said, "Dear amazing Lulu, funny, full of energy, bundle of joy, inclusive, caring, and thoughtful. These were just a few of your many amazing qualities. You were also well known to be distracted, slow, and clumsy. These qualities that made so many of us scratch our head, but it was just these that made you unique and loved. You were curious and everything fascinated you. No idea how many times we were hiking together when I turned around and you were disappeared. To find you behind me because you had to look closer at a beautiful flower, view, or something that the average person wouldn't notice. You saw beauty in the smallest details." And it's just so sad. So I do have an update from Breitbart, but on these suspects here.
Can you just close that one out?
Here we go. Moroccan arrests 3 suspects after the hikers were killed in what's called a terrorist act. The Moroccan authorities said 3 fugitive suspects were arrested. You can see their faces. Take a good look real quick. There, it looks like young boys, bearded boys here, young men. After the grisly murder of 2 Scandinavian hikers, as investigators follow a link to Islamic extremism. Government spokesman described the killings as a criminal and terrorist act. The arrests in the city of Marrakesh follow a first arrest on Monday of a man suspected of belonging to an Islamic extremist group, hours after the discovery of 2 women's bodies in the high Atlas Mountains of southern Morocco. The suspects have been arrested. The investigators were in process of verifying the terrorist motive, which is supported by the evidence of the findings of the inquiries. Police have focused on the terrorism line of inquiry since arresting the first suspect in a poor neighborhood of the region's main city of Marrakesh, which is a magnet for foreign tourists. The radical Islamist line has not been removed because of the profile of the first suspect arrested and 3 others who have links to radical Islamic circles. So there are links to these radical Islamic circles. You know, and I know that these circles are filled with more people who want to do these same kind of things.
And so at the start of this story, I kind of laughed and rolled my eyes about the fact that they had gone to Morocco. And I'm going to be honest about what was in my mind when I said that, because in hindsight, I kind of feel bad that I did, is that they should have known better. However, to not go to Morocco. And not to go to these.
Traditionally
it has, and that's what I was thinking. But at the same time, I was also thinking, okay, they're Scandinavian. They're coming from a mindset of
the world is open and
everything
and
we have to be inclusive, and that's what's so dangerous.
Morocco isn't on the list of Islamist places that I would say not to visit.
But I wouldn't go.
No, but see, I wouldn't think, I wouldn't put it in the
if
top 10
I was a European,
places,
I wouldn't. Yeah, you're right.
Top 10 of places, I would put it, people visit Turkey. I would not have a problem if Lord said to go to Turkey because it's a very big Christianity. Morocco has a Christian roots. Yeah. There are a lot of things you can visit there. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have a problem.
Exactly.
You know that the drive-through history guy, that Christian guy, if you guys have, there's a really cool Christian guy called Drive-Through History, and he takes you around to the different parts of the Middle East.
He's very quirky.
I'm sure he went to Morocco.
Right.
I'm sure he felt safe.
Exactly.
10, 15, 20 years ago. So that's what I'm saying.
No, and that's what I was. I wanted to kind of apologize for my reaction of, Leah Michelle do resistance chicks all the time. We know better. These people don't come from. They don't have the information. Even an American probably doesn't have. The average American doesn't have the information that we have.
Before we started Resistance Chicks, I would have had no problem going to the UK. Now I really don't want to go. And mostly because I don't want to be put in jail by the UK authorities if I happen to be somewhere and say something.
Right. Exactly.
Or get my ability to go there revoked or something.
Right.
So of course they're not going to know. So
Ripaza says, Michelle, the terminology in the Quran that condones this is smite the necks or kill all infidels if and where you find them for Allah. Don't forget, I own a Quran and I read it for reference only.
Wow. Yeah. So traumatized by the murders, residents of the Imlil are deeply fearful for their livelihoods and have helped investigators in identifying the suspects. So you have that aspect where, you're going to have, I think you have an element of fear, but you've got 90% of the people in the country, 95% of the people in the country who don't want to be around ISIS, terrorist, Islamic extremists either.
Right.
Even, here's the thing, guys, most liberals don't want to be around communists. Right. You know, they have the same goal, but they know communists will die for it. And they're like, I ain't dying for this, Jack. And we're not killing people. Yeah. You know, so that we can have welfare. There are normal people who think straight, who aren't going to die for something. Right. So, there's that element there.
So you had brought this story up because we were talking about Whittaker Chambers, and we were talking about how he was explaining
the draw
and
of communism,
and here we are seeing the exact same thing when it comes to Islamists, and that's why it is spreading like a wildfire, because there is this draw of wanting to live for something that is worth dying for.
Exactly. And that's what it is it ignites in the soul. See, you can have just Islam. You can just have Islam in Iran, where people are just kind of following the Quran. They're kind of doing their things. They're kind of more tradition and culture and things like that. Right. But then when you really start to read it and get into it and follow its principles, that's when it becomes incredibly dangerous. And the same thing with Whittaker Chambers, who he had a friend of mine actually sent me the foreword to this book, and she's reading this book, and so I was reading it, and I wanted to share it with you guys because of what I was reading. My whole thought process was Europe is at a crossroads between Islamism, communism, which is making a huge resurgence. By people who think, you know, who just want to take care of the poor and the elderly, and they don't realize that it's this godlessness that if it takes hold, you see it with Antifa. The communists are Antifa. They will become violent. Yeah. If given power and given control, then they become the Bolshevik Revolution. They become the Red Guard. Yeah. They red are dead, and they're happy to kill people. Exactly. If given the weapons and given the authority, they will kill you, right? So he published a book in 1952 called Witness, and it details his life as an agent in the 4th section of the Soviet military intelligence from 1932 to 1938, where he coordinated espionage activities with high-ranking United States government officials. It explains his biography, explains Chambers' departure from communism and his conversion to Christianity. From his conversion, Chambers grasped that revolutionary ideology lied about the nature of man and the source of his being. Wow. The sources of Chambers' ascent and the witness he made are worth recalling. This is really cool. Ready? On the morning of 1938, shortly before leaving the Communist Party, he was feeding his younger daughter, and Chambers concluded that the shape of her ear could not be explained by Marxist materialism. Oh. Something this beautiful and unique, he observed, implied design. Wow. Which implied the existence of God. And understanding the divine gift of his daughter Ellen, meaning God gave me this beautiful creation. Yeah. Rather than this is a communist ideology, we're all just numbers. To work. We're numbers. Right. We're not intelligently designed. We're just beings to be disposed of.
All part of the greater machine.
Right. Exactly.
Like a beehive.
Also strangely related to the horrific eruption within Chambers of the screams from communism's suffering victims, because what you have is you're not attached to the victims of communism. You don't feel for them. Right. And it was in loving his daughter and seeing this divine nature that opened his mind and heart up to the screams of the victims. Yeah. So what is in Islamism in Europe today are people's souls that are cut off from the screams of victims. Wow. So when you go to, and you see, how is this person able to go to Manchester to an Ariana Grande concert? Right. And blow up little girls. Little girls. Right. How can you do that? How can you do that? Because your mind, Islamism does not connect you to God. Right. It's the same godless ideology that is communism, pretending to have a God. Exactly. You know, Islamism is a God-based atheism because it's not a real God. And you can take me off, but hey guys, this is theology. You have to have freedom of religion. Christianity says there is only one way. I'm a Christian, freedom of religion, First Amendment, we can speak these things, right? It's true. It's in the Bible, right? Okay, so you can say that not all, I preface this, I'm going to always say this, not all Muslims are Islamists who are hardline people who are going to blow people up. But if you follow Muhammad, who was crazy, who was a barbaric, who sliced the throats of the unbelievers. Okay, find that in the New Testament. You're not going to find it. Jesus, turn the other cheek. Mohammed, sliced their throats. Two different ideologies, but the same pull from people that get into your being and lead people on. Well, most people want to know, how am I supposed to live my life? How am I supposed to live my life? What am I supposed to do? Communism gives you parameters.
It's kind of like public school system, which is why the public school system is part communism. Its inception is that. It leads there.
They're always changing, just like in that horrible movie 1984 that we watched. They're always changing it, but at least somebody's telling you what to do.
Exactly.
We all need to kind of know what is right and what is wrong. With the Word of God, we're given a parameter, and God's Spirit was put into us, and we learn what is right and what is wrong, and we get to choose whether to follow it or not.
Right.
In Islamism and communism, you don't get to choose. Do you get to choose hijab in a lot of these Islamist countries?
Right.
No. In these marriages, no. It like Imran Tawhidi just said in his thing here, you've got this Muslim scholar that visited Toronto saying that a wife should be obedient to her husband and lick his wounds.
It gives me like,
O messenger of Allah, my marriage is taking place. What right does my husband have over me? So the prophet said, if there are wounds on him and in them pus develops, dirty white water pus. So why? You know, people talk about crazy things in the Bible all the time. You know how they stone homosexuals in the Old Testament? By the way, Jesus doesn't stone people. Just not even homosexuals.
Right.
We're good. Okay?
Right.
You know, he doesn't do that. The New Testament, Jesus comes to explain what God meant in the Old Testament. We can cover that later.
Okay.
But people like to pull out crazy things in the Bible all the time.
Right.
They will do it till they love to do it. And I have a video that Worth a Look sent me. And I don't know if I'm going to get to everything. And I hate to be jumping all over the place. Where, I'm not sure which one it is.
Let me just ask you then, yeah? So
where this, I have no idea who this famous person is. And everything connects, guys. My brain. Do you understand how this works?
Clyro.
I hope you guys understand how my brain works. Because this famous guitarist screams at Tommy Robinson and tells him he's a Nazi. But
While he's out with his wife.
But what really struck me is that Tommy Robinson points out, how come I can criticize Islam, which he should have brought up the pus licking thing. You know what I mean? He really should. And he says, how come I can't criticize that, but people can criticize Christianity? And this guy says, I criticize Christianity all the time. The hypocrisy of it. So let's see this drunk guy go ahead and go, because everything in this whole contendum, I hope you follow my brain.
I'm glad we're off the pus thing, because that was really messy.
I'm with my wife. You saw me with my wife. You saw me with my wife, yeah?
Yeah.
What sort of man would shout obscenities at a bloke who's walking along?
Are you not a Nazi, no?
Nazis killed 6 million Jewish people, you scumbag.
Why are you calling me a scumbag? Is this going on the internet? Is that why you're filming me?
Why are you calling me a scumbag? I just called you a Nazi. Why would you call me that? Don't call me scumbag Nazi.
Hi, I'm Michael Venner. How are
Michael
you?
what?
How are you, Stephen?
What's your name, Michael what?
Michael Venner.
Michael Venner.
V-E-N-N-A-R-T.
So explain to me how my criticism of an ideology equates to people murdering 6 million Jewish people, women and children.
Because what you are doing is making a living off of hate speech.
That makes me a Nazi.
Yeah.
You scream Nazi. No, tell me how I'm a Nazi. Explain. Just explain. Come on. Explain how I'm a Nazi.
This is
Explain
hilarious.
why
He's
you
like, I'm too
shout
inebriated
rude
to discuss right now.
at me when I'm with
Stephen,
my wife.
you
Explain.
encourage this behaviour.
What behaviour? Tell me how I'm a Nazi. Explain it. Come on.
You mean maybe behavior that goes up to people and screams obscenities and curse words at people with their wife around?
Yeah.
Like that kind of behavior? Somebody posted on the Babylon Bee, which is a Christian satire site,
Right.
that said, that talked about the judgmental Christian judging people who judge people.
I know.
Did you read that?
No, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it's really funny where they, like the judgmental Christian that judges people, who judge people, says, I can't believe that you aren't more inclusive. So I have every right to judge you for not being more inclusive. And you need to be a better Christian. And you need to be more like me and stop judging people. Right? And it's this whole big long thing. And so you have this guy here who says, you're judging people, but it's okay for me to judge you judging people. And you're inciting hate, but it's okay for me to hate you and incite people to hate you because you're inciting hate.
Come on, explain how I'm an Nazi.
You know, if I wasn't under such heavy sedation right now...
Why are you under sedation? You'd fucking what?
Because I'm really, really hungover,
If you wasn't under sedation, you'd do what? You'd do what if you wasn't under sedation?
I'd talk much more sense. You are a Nazi.
So explain how I'm a Nazi.
You are.
Explain, because you say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Explain how.
Because you're ultimately...
Because so if I criticise Christianity, am I a Nazi? Or is this protected status only for Islam?
No, I criticise them as well.
Okay, so
but it's hate speech, Stephen. We don't need it. It's 2017.
It's hate speech, Stephen. You're not allowed to talk about Islam. You can criticize Christianity. I do it all the time, but you can't criticize Islam. Duh.
2018, we don't need
it.
Oh
my God. We have laws against hate speech. Have I ever been arrested under those laws?
I really enjoyed it the other day where you got owned the other fucking week on Facebook because you believe in...
You're getting owned because you can't explain how...
Get it on the internet. This guy's fucking harassing me in public, man.
No, you screamed at me when I'm with my wife.
Yeah, so what's your wife got to fucking do with it? What's that got to do with
you? Because what sort of man are you? When you see a man walking along with his wife, start screaming obscenities in.
I didn't scream at you.
Yeah, you did. You screamed at me. And then when I've come over to you to ask you to justify...
You don't scare me, mate.
I don't need to scare you. You look like a fucking arsehole. The whole internet's going to look at you and see you're screaming words at someone. You have absolutely nothing to back up. Yes, so explain how I'm a Nazi. Come on, explain. One more time, one final time for the internet. How am I a Nazi?
I hate your hate, Stephen.
How am I... What have I said that's hate?
Come on.
Give me one example.
Come on, you're a renowned fascist.
Give me an example.
You're the most famous fucking, most prejudiced person.
So that must be easy.
You're the most famous effing mosque prejudiced person. You're prejudiced against mosques, and so you're a fascist Nazi.
Like, even Nigel Farage is embarrassed by you.
It must be easy to explain how. That's it.
Yeah?
It must be, you can't explain one single thing.
Stephen, you got me. I'm a scumbag. I'm a scumbag.
You are a scumbag who shouts at men who are walking along with their wife.
Oh, your poor wife. Yeah.
Oh,
have a great Christmas, Stephen.
So just for one more time for the record, how am I a Nazi?
Because you're a fucking hate monger.
What have I said? We don't need... One example. One example. You've not got one example, have you?
Is there like a fucking march going on?
No, there's lots of normal people who think...
Normal people, yeah?
Normal people. You cannot back up. You can't scream Nazi at people without being able to justify why you say that. You can't say people are hate mongering without being able to justify it. Because that's what you do. You're standing here screaming obscenities at me.
Obscenity? What, you're a Nazi?
They've murdered 6 million Jewish people. Back it up. Back it up. You can't. You've got the one thing to say.
Yeah, they didn't do that on day one.
What have you got to say? Give me one example.
They didn't kill 100 million Jews on day one. Is that what they did, eh? Yeah.
Criticising Islam does what? Should I not criticise Islam? Is it not allowed to be criticised? Is it not allowed to be?
But you're just a shit stirrer.
A shit stirrer? Yeah. And a Nazi. And a hate monger. Give me one example.
Just fuck off, alright? I'll live my life over here thinking you're a Nazi, and you fuck off over there and leave me the fuck over alone.
You screamed obscenities at me when I'm with my wife. I didn't come up to you. You started shouting at me when I'm with my wife. Explain yourself. Give me one example.
Leave me alone, man.
One example.
Of what?
One example of how I promote hate. One example.
Oh, come on, everybody knows.
That's not nice. Everyone's looking at you now, is it? Now everyone's looking at you. It's not nice. You think you can scream at me? It's not nice.
Yeah, look at me as well. Yeah, look, get me on video. He's full of shit. This cunt.
One example. Have you got one example?
Of what?
Have you got one example? Before you go, of my hate. Of my hate. Before I go,
give me one example.
Before I go, give me one example.
Can you all watching this?
Give me one example.
So this is a classic of example of somebody like all of a sudden they come up at you, they start a whole bunch of problems, and then when you confront them, then they're like, "You're attacking me. You're attacking me." Like Tommy did not go up to this guy and start saying stuff.
Yeah.
And so he confronted him, and he's like, "You need to back up what you're saying because this is defamatory. This is, I gotta say to Nigel Farage, you may not like the way Tommy operates, and I know a lot of you guys who are a little bit more laid back, middle of the road, don't like the way Tommy operates, don't like how he goes about things. But I I follow what people say, not exactly how they do it, because I've learned that if I try to put everybody into my personality box, then that's the real diversity, right? The real diversity is this is how Tommy reacts with the world. I may not do it. I may, if I was to sit Tommy down, I would probably say, hey, this would be a really great list of changes you could do to make it a little bit more effective,
well, and I'm
brother.
sure a lot of people have done that with him, but here's what I would say to the Nigel Farage type critics of Tommy Robinson. Everybody who lives in a UK city and their hometown was overtaken by Islam and by Muslims, please stand up and criticize Tommy. Everyone else sit down.
Right, exactly.
Because in his city,
or Luton, or where the where the Pakistani rape gangs are,
first hand in Luton. He grew up there. That's his hometown. They came in and they flooded. They changed everything. He saw it with his own eyes. All right,
Sharia law.
I want every single one of you to envision your hometown all of a sudden being taken over by the religion that shall not be named,
or any other ideology.
Let's just go with this one,
right?
Because this is what we're talking about.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everything changes. And I'm not talking about you just now all of a sudden see women in hijabs or burqas walking around. I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me. When you see how those women are being treated, when you see the ideology, when you see it take a change and an effect, like you said, we have the Sharia courts in Luton, all right? When those people from a city like Luton or any other town where it has been taken over by Muslims, if you want to stand up and criticize Tommy Robinson, I will listen to you all day long. If it hasn't happened to your town and your city, sit down.
So he also has received his 8th Osmond warning from the police, meaning somebody has it out for his life.
I feel like I'm in a strait.
He waits for everybody to come.
That's me. I am PC from Bedfordshire Police. I must inform you that you are not under arrest or under caution. That's a start. I'm in to inform you that we have received information that your well-being may be in danger. This relates to left-wing activists having sourced your home address and are threatening to attend and cause criminal acts of violence. I believe you are personally aware of that, and the situation may have risen as a result of your business activities and lifestyles. No, it's arisen as a result of my political beliefs.
So, it may have arisen that people want to do you harm because of the things that you say, your words. So, you really stirred up a nest of bees on this one. So, like, when we go out to our bees on a rainy day and they come out and we don't have gear on and they sting us, you know what? That is our fault. Okay? Don't go and work with your bees in the rain. They're angry and they're frustrated.
Right.
When you're dealing with a nest of hornets
that comes after you
and you bang it down with a tennis racket and they come after you and threaten your life, it may have arisen because of your tennis racketing of the hornet's nest.
Yeah.
But, I just think of things like, what about strippers or streetwalkers or something like that? And they go to report a crime or something and they say, I was raped or I was, assaulted or something like that. And they say, that may have resulted from your business activities. We're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, it's really your fault, but we'll go ahead and process this crime, but it's all your fault, streetwalker.
But when you have a nest of hornets that literally fly into your home and come after you and you start to try to whack them and it makes them angry because you're trying to get rid of them, then no, that's not your fault. And that's what has happened, and that's what I want people to recognize.
Here's what they're out. They're like, listen, if you just are quiet around them, everything will be fine.
And let them live in your home, everything will be fine. No, I'll have to live like this all the time. Like, I'll have to wear a veil, a bee veil, to protect myself. And that's what Tommy's trying to say. I don't want to live in fear all the time, and I don't want my family members and my community and the gang, not the rape gangs, but to be soliciting the little girls in my neighborhood. Like, I don't want that. And so I'm going to take this thing head on. And he's the only person, whereas everybody else is just saying, just lie still. Not every hornet is going to sting people. You know, it's just every once in a while they'll sting somebody. No, Tommy's saying we have to get rid of this whole nest. It's not safe.
Targeting of opponents with threats of violence. I must advise you to take appropriate measures to ensure your safety, but warn you that this does not entitle you to break the law. Anyone sitting in America, what that basically means is we're not allowed a weapon to defend ourselves. We have to sit like sitting ducks with our family, waiting for people to come and commit acts of violence against us. If you feel you need police assistance, I'm able to put you in touch with experienced officers who can advise you. Well, Bedfordshire Police, I have given you countless and numerous amounts of evidence to show you who is threatening me, who is promoting acts of violence against me, and you've not once ever arrested one single person. So your experienced officers are fucking useless. We may be in a position to offer you proportionate protection. Just for the record, so that everyone can see, I have asked the police countless times for a panic button to be put in my family's home. So that, say for example, when I'm not home, or even if I am home, if people come to this address, then my family have a button that they can press, which, guess what? Many Muslims have been given across this country when they've been threatened with any acts of violence, which many MPs are given in this country. But Bedfordshire Police refuse to give me any panic button, any means of protection. So for the record, I want that on the record. Because the next thing is that anyone, this is your Osman warning, this is the 7th, possibly 8th warning I've had like this against threats to my life. It's what, a week until Christmas? And as I told the police, which I'll tell everyone, if anyone comes near my family's home, I will take that as a direct threat to the well-being and the safety of my wife and my children, and I will act as any father or husband would act to protect. That is what the police.
Wow. So there is that.
You know, I have to be honest, guys. The only thing that is protecting Tommy Robinson and his family right now is the power of God.
And your prayers.
And your prayers. So it's very, very important to keep that up because I can't imagine being his wife and children. Right. I can't imagine sending my kids to school.
Right.
Like, I would want to watch them like a hawk all day long. Like Tommy said, I would want a weapon. You know, like, I don't even know. Tommy and his family are putting their lives on the line for something that is very important. They are fighting a war. They are warriors, and they deserve that respect. And it's unfortunate that the Nigel Farages of this world can't give him that.
Right. I want to go back to Whittaker Chambers. If you're just joining us, we're talking about a man who left communism and wrote a book called The Witness. And he came out of communism by coming to know Jesus Christ. And by realizing his fellow human beings had intrinsic value. And I want to conclude here because I want to talk about Brexit and that boy band and things like that. And I think I would like to revisit this often because it explains so much that's happening in Europe and the European Union, because the European Union doesn't see the intrinsic value. It sees materialism. Brexit is all about materialism, not about each human spirit, not about each human being, not about individual businesses, individual lives, individual choices.
Right.
It's about the giant conglomerate and materialism, as he puts it.
Every child doesn't matter. They're raised to think you don't matter, but isn't it so great that you get to be a part of this larger thing?
Right, exactly.
And so it's very unfortunate.
So he looked at his daughter's ear and he said, this is a divine gift. No, this cannot be explained away as happen chance. And he says, when he talks about communism suffering victims, and I would say Islamism's suffering victims, the women who are beaten, who have to lick wounds of pus, forced to be beaten. And in the Quran, it says you can beat your wife. And what have you done to beat your wife? You know, your wife done to be beaten. One day the communist really hears those screams. The screams do not merely reach his mind, they pierce beyond. They pierce his soul. And I want to pray for every Muslim who's an extremist. Because there's a woman, and I can't remember the top of her head, but she came to America as an Islamic extremist whose heart was connected to Islam, and she came to know Jesus Christ, and now she talks about it all over, and this is evil,
right?
But she was a person, and I honestly think, guys, that if you can reach a lot of these Islamists with the gospel, that they will go as fervently after Jesus Christ in love and peace and joy when they feel the pain that this ideology is inflicting upon people, you know? And so that's why a lot of our atheist friends, you don't understand how to address your problems.
Well, and I want to get, that actually goes right into a question that I wanted to read from James King on Facebook Live. He says, Muslims are called to migrate. They do this and they get into politics to gain power. This is why it is so prominent. My question is, how do you stop it? And I think you just answered that question in that it has to come from the power of God. It cannot come from a political change. Those are good steps to take, but it has to only come from the power of God. Christians, right?
You guys are so pretty. I just got involved, so I have no idea what you said before this, so I'm sorry if I interrupted. You said this already. But I was typing to some people on Free Zaka yesterday, and it was so simple. Muslims are just people like the Vikings. They marauders. You gotta quit calling them a religion. They're not a religion. They're just marauders. You want to call them Vikings? Call them Vikings. Call them marauders. Call them people, pirates even. But don't call them a religion because they're not. They riot. They, they go in and they take things. I mean, they're taking all your wealth and everything. They get free welfare and everything. They're there to loot everything from your country. They're there to overwhelm your country. They're there to rape and rob. Everything you expect the Vikings to go in and start tearing things to places and raping women and everything like that. They're no different than a man of any other country that doesn't have God. They don't have God. So what happens when you come to Christ is instead of abusing women and children and being all violent and stealing, you come to know God and you protect women and children. You protect your country. You protect your land. So people have to stop calling them Muslims because that's not what it says. Book that says it's okay to be a Viking or to be a marauder or to be a pirate. But when you come to Christ, I said people are going to demand people prove that they are dedicated Christians because that's the only people you can trust to obey the 10 Commandments. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't murder.
Right.
We don't take people's arms off. We don't cut their feet off. They steal. We don't cut their tongues out.
Right.
We don't dismember people. But in the Quran, you can do all that stuff. We don't make people slaves. We've come to Christ. So we obey the commandments of God. And we just love to protect people and keep people safe. And we bring people to Christ where their minds are full of the wisdom and knowledge and love and power. And your strength comes from the power of God. When Jesus said you have to become like a child, because the way you were raised, forget it. You got to go back to your childhood. All your strength and power is when you were 2, 3, 4 years old, and you hadn't been defiled by the ways of the world yet.
Right.
And you can find your strength and your power there, but you have to take time to sit alone, to be with God, and to meditate. We say go out in the woods. Go anywhere where there's no lights, no cars, no electricity, no nature without anything but God.
Right.
And then you come to a place where you know God's going to provide for me. God's going to give me clothes. God's going to strengthen me. But he's also called me to defeat these people.
Yeah.
To defend people against these people. And Jesus Christ gives you the strength to do that. But men are so confused. Oh, it's a religion. We have religion freedom. No. These are just a bunch of Vikings on a warpath invading countries like Vikings would do.
Right.
They're no different. They're pirates going around taking treasures chests and stuff.
I want to clarify that we really do have to clarify between those who are Islamists, Islamism, and those who are raised in an Islamic culture, because there's billions of Muslims in this world. And that is one part of Islamism that obviously displays itself in the Pakistani grooming gangs.
Right.
And the trick of it is, and the reason in the UK everybody's trying to, step on toes, is we have yet as a society, as a worldwide conglomerate of people, to put the right labels on the right ideology and the right mindset, because the best thing that the extremist Muslims want to do is to put everybody in the same boat, because suddenly they're covered. They're covered because look at all the peaceful Muslims. Look at all the, moderate Muslims. Look at the people who, get along well with other people and blah, blah, blah. And so we have to come up with a politically correct way to say, okay, let's call it Islamism. Let's call it Islamism. Let's call it Muslim extremism.
On Facebook Live,
Whatever
Trevor says, Islam is an ideology, not a religion. I agree with the marauder statement. And a lot of you actually said that on YouTube as well. They like the idea of marauder.
The marauding sect of the Islamist ideology, okay? Because the thing of it is it is a religion in that it's a belief system that people will live and die for. Just like communism, people say communism can't be a religion because it doesn't have God.
Right.
Okay? It's a belief system that people will live and die for. So let me finish this quote here. When you come out of Islamism, or whatever you want to call it, you see the intrinsic value of each person. The reason you can go into other cultures, the reason Islamists can go into the UK, Pakistanis can come in, is they don't feel the agony of those girls raped. They don't feel for them.
Right.
They literally don't feel for innocent human life. They can't. Like the men in Morocco who chop the women's heads off. Like, they don't feel. And communists, with their separation between God, whether you know it or not, even if you think you're an atheist, and you feel you have a spark of life in God in you.
Yeah.
And because only God
exactly
can have you feel
right
for human beings,
right,
and feel for their humanity and feel for their souls. So you're just pushing it down real hard, and we're going to bring it out of you.
All right, so I want you to pick your very top stories because we have to get going.
I know, but I haven't finished it.
Well, it's not your quote.
I want to finish this quote.
Okay.
All right. One day, the communists or the Islamists hears those screams. The screams do not merely reach his mind, they pierce beyond. They pierce to his soul. The soul in agony, in this case a person under persecution by communist authorities, has attempted to communicate with another soul through memory and across time. The crucial significance of both episodes rests in Whittaker Chambers embracing the presence of his soul, thus denying the false materialism of communism and the darkness it had covered him in. As Chambers observed, a communist breaks because he must choose at last between irreconcilable opposites, God or man, soul or mind, freedom or communism.
Wow.
And so that's kind of what I wanted to get to, the essence of that. There are so many stories here, but I want to go to this one. This is this is in the title. This was a Breitbart head story today. It was absolutely hilarious. A woman in the Netherlands has launched the BreUnion Boys in a last-ditch effort to stop Brexit. Creator Julia Veldman said she really cried my heart out when she learned the UK had voted to leave the EU. She said, it was so unexpected and overwhelming that it made me feel powerless when she heard the result in June 2016 while working in New York, far beyond the common external border of her beloved union. I thought, what else will work better than the voice of Take
So
That?
you have me put something wrong in the title. You said pro-Brexit boy band flops. You mean
pro-EU.
EU. That's not what you told me, but that's
sorry.
All right. That's all right.
I didn't
We're
mean
going to
that.
fix it.
Yeah. The best thing Britain ever gave us to convince us to take it back. The boy band's flagship song, Britain Come Back, implores listeners, your choice turns my spine gray. There's always been a sea between us. We used to sail it together.
No.
But you're leaving. Now we're falling apart. Britain, come back to us. It's not too late to turn around. So there's these pictures of this boy band because this is going to make people come back.
Oh my gosh.
It's awesome. The band reportedly plans on touring British pubs in order to win over the Leave voting working class. But the response so far has been somewhat less than enthusiastic, and you're going to see why, because I'm going to play a bit. Okay, now I want the hardest Brexit possible, and immediately, wrote one person. I voted Remain and was strongly opposed to Brexit until I saw this. I think I want a hard Brexit now.
Stop.
And just like that, there were no Remainers left, quite a third. BreUnion Boys can Brexit stage left as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my gosh.
Others chose to express their disapproval in GIF forum with a clip of the X Factor's Simon Cowell saying, no, it's not for me. But you are going... I was tormented by this, so I am going to torment you guys with it for just a little bit. All right, are you ready? There's the sea. Looking back. to the EU.
This is creepy. He's got the EU stars in his eyes.
This is the end.
I can't believe this is the end.
No. I still feel your love inside me. I still sing your words. I make a wish as your star
Brain's not going anywhere, guys. It's still
your
there.
voice paints my heart. Your mirage fades away. Your choice turns my sky gray.
I can't even.
I can't.
We used to sail it together, but you're leaving now. We're falling apart.
So embarrassing.
They're dancing. No, they didn't.
Come back.
Whoa, they did one of these stops. Whoa. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that hip movement's gonna bring people back, baby.
Oh my goodness, I can't breathe.
We made mistakes.
We made mistakes.
Had a rocky start.
Had a rocky start, baby.
But you didn't have a fair choice.
My heart.
This has to be parody. It can't be real.
It hasn't been easy for us to handle your critique.
No.
It hasn't been easy.
No.
It hasn't been easy for us to handle your critique.
Oh, no, don't stop it.
Well, my
It's
friend,
like some sort of like,
it's
you're like a moth to a
Sunday,
flame.
December
I have to see the
23rd.
end of it. Lionel.
The last.
I have no idea. I lost it. There they are.
No, they're
Okay.
right there. No, we have to finish this. We have to finish it.
It hasn't been easy.
I can't even. Oh my gosh. My stomach. Oh my gosh.
The feeling is true. Prison come back.
Come back.
Prison come back to us. Not too late to turn
No.
Prison come back.
I can't.
The sands of time, baby.
Can we make you change your mind?
Can we make you change your
It's
mind?
not too late to remain. It's not too late to come back again. It's not too late to
The people voted, sorry.
reunite. We'll get out of this together. Make our union ever closer. We'll set course for peace and prosperity.
I can't look at their
I
faces.
can't.
Britain come back. Britain come back.
They got his hair all wet.
Britain come back to us.
Now he's angry.
Not too late to turn around. Britain come back.
He's
Britain come
mad.
back.
Yes.
Because you want to come back to an angry person.
Can we make you change?
It's not over yet, no.
Connected. Our lives
What
are
speaker?
intertwined.
Smeagol. Oh,
You can't
Smeagol.
change your
Oh, okay.
course without remorse. Look at what you leave behind.
Dude,
Hey, what is
they're
that?
like
for the
shirtless
boy band
You
now.
hurt yourself, it hurts me. Cut each
That
other some
hurts
slack.
me.
Don't
That
turn
hurts
your
me.
back together is where I want to be.
Did they throw
So-
some sort of rap in there?
Yeah, so I'm just wondering at what demographic they're trying to reach here, because maybe girls under 14 probably who didn't vote to leave in the first place. If you're going to pubs, they're going to throw beer in your face. Okay? They're going to say, no, baby, not for me. I can just imagine Horatio in the pub and these boys abbing themselves away, to Horatio and his pals saying, hey, let's have another vote because I'll do a little move for you. I'll move my hips for you if you just kind of go back into the European Union. I'm pretty sure you're reaching the wrong
You don't have to
demographic.
finish it after that.
No, we're done. We're done here. We're done. And actually, speaking of we're done,
that was really enjoyable.
Remainers can't stop no deal Brexit if May's deal is voted down. Here's the thing, guys. May's cabinet and the government have finally reached the conclusion that they need to start working on a no deal Brexit.
Oh, shocker.
They need to start working on it. So they have literally started working on a no deal Brexit, which to everybody and including to me is like this biggest sigh of relief.
Yeah.
And I want to go ahead and see what other people are saying here. A lot of people still want there's still a few Remoaners, but no deal Brexit is definitely in the works. It's moving. May gets glowing endorsement for Brexit no deal from Britons. We have got over worse. no deal Brexit is default legal position. Okay? Here we go. The legal default position is that if there isn't a deal, then the UK leaves the EU in March 2019 without a deal. Cabinet Brexiteer Andrea Leadsom has once again reiterated that UK will leave the European Union on March 29, 2019, deal or no deal. In an interview with the Sunday Telegraph, she's made it clear the legal default position is that if there isn't a deal, then the UK leaves the UK in March 2019 without a deal. It comes after a petition in favor of a no-deal Brexit that surges towards 300,000 signatures, showing clear public support for a clean break with the EU that allows the UK to take back full control and autonomy. Leadsom also responded to moves by Remainer MPs to block the UK leaving with no deal, saying, Parliament can always, of course, express a view, but in order to avoid a no-deal Brexit, Parliament does need to vote for a deal. And of the back of news that the government are finally ramping up for no deal, Leadsom explains, the government will have to, as a competent government, continue to prepare for all eventualities. That is government policy. And so I'm actually just really excited that the new no deal Brexit is they're finally preparing for it.
And you know what? I want to bring this down to maybe a more comprehensive level for our American viewers. Imagine that you wanted to get a divorce from a very abusive husband. Okay. And all of a sudden, the husband says, well, we're not getting a divorce until we figure out who gets the house, who gets the cars, who gets the vacation home in the Hamptons, okay? And the woman is like, listen, I'm tired of being beat in the face. And he's like, but no, you'll lose everything. So here's what I'm telling you. You can keep the vacation home in the Hamptons. You can still pay me some money. I can still give you some money. As long as I can tell you where you can live, I can tell you what garden you can grow in your backyard, I can tell you where you can and cannot work. I mean, I have all these stipulations and all of these rules that I'm going to put on you. So we're going to have a divorce, but I can still tell you what to do. And then so we're still going to have some sort of deal that we're going to work out. The abused woman is pretty much saying, you know what, Jack? You can keep your vacation home in the Hamptons. I don't want anything. I'm walking away. I'm an independent woman. I can do what I want. I don't need you. I don't need your rules. I don't need you to tell me what I can and cannot do. And I am walking away. I don't want your stuff. No deal, Jack. We're leaving. I'm gone. I'm out of here. And that is the no deal Brexit. And people are terrified of that. They're thinking, but what about all these that we've invested into the EU and we won't get that back? And they're, worried about borders and people being able to cross lines and work and this, that, and the other. You just walk away and you deal with what happens after that. You clean up the mess after. The abused woman goes and finds out how she's going to be able to provide for herself, where she's going to live, what kind of job she's going to have. She just knows she has to get out of there. And that is what has happened to the UK. It's time for them to leave and stop being controlled by an entity that was never supposed to be given the authority over it that it has.
Exactly. So we have to go, but there's so many huge stories. I'm just going to go over some of these headlines because they were so it was funny to me. Italy's Salvini hopes no one is offended by his Christmas greeting. Interior Minister Matteo Salvini wished all Italians a happy and a holy Christmas this week, adding that he hopes no one is offended by such a language. I wish all Lombards and Italians a happy and a holy Christmas, hoping that no one is offended because we are in a stranger times. Before adding that his government had given Italians a budget that finally gives back instead of taking away. And he said he reacted strongly to attempts by educators to remove manger scenes. He says, "We are Italy, and I think no child of any religion is offended by the ox, the donkey, and the baby Jesus. I will put up a nativity scene, and I hope there is no educator who thinks that the baby Jesus is going to offend anybody. And the baby Jesus is not offending nobody. You can have nativity scenes everywhere in Italy. The baby Jesus and an ox ain't going to offend nobody." And I'm not sure he says ain't, but it's not going to. And I just love that he says that. We are in Italy. And I don't think any child of any religion is offended by an ox, a donkey, and a baby Jesus. It's just like, it's so epic. I love this man more and more every day. In Denmark, I am loving Denmark here because Denmark, they passed a law that
they
the
were
criminals...
this was up on the docket, and they actually passed it.
Yes, they passed a law that criminal migrants, you go to an island, an offshore island. They also passed a law requiring handshakes to gain citizenship.
Which is important.
Denmark has it where it's at. Denmark has adopted a law requiring anyone who becomes a Danish citizen to shake hands at the naturalization ceremony. A move is widely seen as aimed at some Muslims who will not shake the hands of a woman or a man, and a woman won't shake the hands of men. So if you're going to become Danish, that's what you got to do. And then if you're a criminal and you're awaiting deportation, you're going away to an island. UK businessman says leave mean leave, says the UK is going to prosper. Everything's going to be fine. We could go over that. Nigel Farage says Trump supports Brexit because it will upend global bureaucracy. 6 migrants were convicted in Sweden's biggest ever human trafficking case. 6 Bulgarian nationals were convicted in Swedish courts today of smuggling migrants in and forcing them to beg on the streets. Putin goads on anti-Brexiteers, saying someone disliked the result, so repeat it over and over again. Is this democracy? That's Putin.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I'm looking for Mom's video.
Someone did not like the result. He was asked. Putin had this big giant press conference. He does it every year. Someone asked about Brexit, and he's like, "So, someone didn't like the result. Is this democracy?"
Yeah,
it's absolutely hilarious to see Putin and Russia coming out of communism. So when we're talking about Russia, the reason Russia is the enemy now is because they're coming out of communism. They're embracing God and individuality.
Right.
They're obviously not perfect, but they're getting there. Now, we talked about this, and I kind of want to end with this story because it was so important to me. CNN's Journalist of the Year fraudster smeared Trump's rural America. Klaas Relotis, the CNN's Journalist of the Year, exposed as a lying fraud. He is a journalist for the Der Spiegel in Germany, and it's a far-left magazine. In Medium, Michelle Anderson from Fergus Falls, Minnesota, describes how Relotis visited her town on a 3-week investigation into Trump's America and then misrepresented it with a pack of lies. What happened is beyond what I could ever imagine. An article titled, "Where They Pray for Trump on Sundays," and endless pages of an insulting, if not hilarious, excuse for journalism. Not only did Relotis expose on Fergus Falls make unrecognizable movie-like characters out of the people in my town that I interact with on a daily basis, but its very basic lack of truth and its bizarrely bleak portrayal of the place I love left a very sick, unsettled feeling in the pit of my stomach. There's really nothing like this feeling, knowing that people in another country have read about this place that I call home, are shaking their heads over their coffee in disgust, sharing the article on Facebook and Twitter, and making comments on online like creepy, and these people who don't believe in electricity exists. Relotis has received accolades for his daring quest to live among us for several weeks, and yet he reported on very little actual truth about Fergus Falls' life. In 7,300 words, he really only got our town's population and average annual temperature correct. Anderson, writing with Jake Crone, goes on to detail his elaborate fabrications. One of his subjects, City Administrator Andrew Breastsmith, was distorted almost beyond recognition. Everything else from the claim that Breastsmith carries a Beretta 9mm on his person while at work. I would never, ever wear a gun to work, and I don't even own a Beretta. So they literally went to the farthest extremes, and it was in an article. And
so they pretty much wrote a fictional story about a real place.
Yeah, but he did this several times, and he did it to smear Trump supporters in rural America. His disdain for a potential female president, his comment that Trump would kick ASS, never said that, and even his college-era preference for 18th century French philosophers, never read them, and the New England Patriots, I'm not a fan of them at all, is complete fiction. He says, anyone who knows anything about me, this is not me. Perhaps the oddest fiction in the list of many of Relotis' depictions of this man is someone who would like to marry soon, but he has not yet been in a serious relationship with a woman. He has also never been to the ocean. However, there's a picture on this man's Facebook account that he's in this multi-year cohabitational relationship with a woman at an ocean.
Oh my God.
Okay, so these are the kind of lies that he Wow. But how did he get away with it for so long?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so hang on. So what says, and they didn't even fire him, he retired.
Wow, this is how serial fabricator and liar Jason Blair got away with it for so long at the New York Times. He had arrived at an internship for minorities and knew exactly how to play his blackness to advantage in an environment suffused with white liberal guilt. So these similar things happen with like Johann Hari, an award-winning British star journalist for The Independent and other left-wing publications, who was eventually exposed as a serial plagiarist, stealing quotes from other people's interviews. So this guy, he's definitely been outed, but it's kind of like, oh well, no harm, no foul, like it's done. But like these people's lives, like, are they gonna go? And what they need to do is oh, and by the way, I guess it gets better. This is just 3 hours ago. Klaus Relotis embezzled donations away from Syrian street children.
Oh, for the children. Oh my goodness.
Exactly. Laura Ingram wants to know how many more are there? Der Spiegel's award-winning journalist Klaus Relotis wrote fake news, and this is from the USA Today, on how fake the liberal fake news really is. This scandal is just gone. It's blown up. You've got elements of Relotis' trademark style, dramatic narrative, likable heroes, and entirely made up facts. RT is
wow,
putting things out like that. I think that's funny.
Mike Cernovich.
He says 2 locals fact-checked his reporting, and their verdict is devastating. A perfect example of how Der Spiegel's editorial safeguards failed people and ruined people's lives. Ruined people's lives because, and hopefully, you know, even you've got Jake Tapper saying hideous. In recent years, Der Spiegel published just under 60 articles by this reporter and editor, Klaus Relotis. He has now admitted that in several instances he either invented stories or distorted facts.
So maybe
that's the way they want to put it.
He should have just been a writer, like a fictional writer, and then things would have been fine. Maybe he just missed his calling.
Well, you know what? It says Der Spiegel fake news reporter could actually face charges. This would be vindication. The German reporter Klaus Relotis, accused by top news magazine Der Spiegel of faking stories, could face embezzlement charges. Der Spiegel said in its filing a criminal complaint alleging he solicited donations for Syrian orphans from readers, with any proceeds going to his personal account. Der Spiegel said last week that Relotis admitted faking some stories. The reporter 33 is yet to comment.
All right, do you have any other stories?
Development.
It's almost 3.
Okay, we have to go. Well,
we were going to leave at 2:30.
You're right. No, that's the last of my story. That's the last of my story.
All right, so before we sign off, because my mother, honor your mother and father, she would like us to play the guy that does Gollum from The Lord of the Rings did a parody. Now, it's actually anti-Brexit.
It is.
And I want to preface it by that. But it does show the two-facedness of Theresa May. Mm-hmm. And so we aren't going to play the whole thing. But you guys can just find it. Literally just put in Smeagol, Theresa May in YouTube. Mm-hmm. But we will play part of it so you can... Because our mother is asking for it, and our mother gets
and here's the thing, like Michelle said, it shows her two-facedness, if that's what you want to call it.
And an excellent display, I think.
It's actually kind of I was going to say even the end of it is kind of...
Let me go to the end?
Start at the beginning and then go to the end. That's what I would do.
Okay. Make sure I got volume.
You're muted.
Okay.
You wanted a copy of your withdrawal agreement?
And how does he look so much like her? That's creepy.
Our agreement. This is it. Our deal. Yes. We takes back control. Money. Borders. Laws.
Pause it real quick.
Blueprint.
Here's the thing. The way the person who wrote this doesn't know that the deal doesn't take your borders. It doesn't take back your money.
Right.
And so I'm going to say that the portrayal is correct in that it is duplicitous and it is evil because it keeps you in the EU.
Yeah. That's
why nobody wants it. So they portray it wrongfully, but the spirit behind it is right.
Right.
Sports is... No, it hurts the people. It makes them boring. But I finds it negotiates it, we want it. We has to do it. Okay. We ask the people if they want it, and they no stupid tricksy remainers. They ruins it. But if the people want something else, then first, this is the only deal. Juicy and sweet. We want it. We need it. We will have it. But they don't as precious. They hate the deal. All of them hate it. They want a people's vote. People's vote? Ah! They steal it from us. Curse them, we hate them.
People's vote.
Exactly.
The peoples are our friends. You don't have any friends.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. You don't have any friends. It's about
You
it's
don't
about,
have any friends. That's how it
it's
ends.
about it.
But yeah, our mom, Patriot Gallery, thought that was hilarious, and it actually is really hilarious. You guys,
I wish
she is so two-faced, and it doesn't matter. In all honesty, it doesn't matter whether that's pro Brexit or pro Remain. Like it just shows that Theresa May is all over the place.
Yeah.
All right, so I hope that has made Patriot Gallery happy that we shared that.
Yeah, there were some other stories that she wanted me to share, but we didn't get to them all today, and that's okay because we talk philosophy at Christmas time.
We did.
So here's Michelle's song she's been wanting to sing for you guys.
Well, Leah wanted to sing it today, and I was like, Leah, we haven't practiced it. She's like, here, let's sing it through one time. And we said, all right, that's what we're gonna do. Okay. Do you have the chords up?
We're ready. We are ready. I'm gonna need you to scroll down with the words.
Okay.
What the heck?
That it's playing on here something.
Okay, don't play again. We don't need you. Okay, are you ready? Now you start out.
Hang on, let me get a drink of water. Actually,
Michelle wanted to sing at the beginning before her voice was raw. Okay, so if you guys are just joining us now, not joining us, but we hope to do maybe either a show tomorrow or Christmas Day, even
or
Christmas
Wednesday. It'll okay. Let me say it this way. It will be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I think. If it's not Tuesday, it'll probably be if it's not Monday, it'll probably be Wednesday. I don't think we'll do it on Christmas Day.
Can we do the 12 days of Christmas? Can you do it after Christmas?
We can. We could. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, just making sure.
All right. Okay. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would someday walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? This child that you delivered will soon deliver you. Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will give sight to a blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would calm the storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod? When you kiss your little baby, you kiss the face of God. Oh, Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know? Oh, Mary. The blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will live again. The lame will leap, the dumb will speak, the praises of the Lamb.
Lord of all creation. Mary, did you know that your baby boy will someday rule the nations? Did you know that your baby boy is heaven's perfect lamb? The sleeping child you're holding is the great I am. Mary, 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 did you know?
No, that's good. We can sing it again for
Yeah.
Christmas show.
Yeah, we'll do it again for the Christmas show.
So, like I said, thank you for being here. That is one of my all-time, I think that is my all-time favorite Christmas song.
I love it.
Okay.
Instead of a second song, we're just going to sing it again.
Okay, one more time.
Hey.
But we also want to sing Breath of Heaven at some point. My mom loves that one as well. So we'll sing that one probably at our... Mary, did you know that your baby boy will someday walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? This child that you delivered will soon deliver you. Oh, Mary, did you know that your baby boy will give sight to the blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would calm the storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod? When you kissed your little baby, you kissed the face of God. Oh, Mary, did you know? Ooh, Mary, did you know? The blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will live again. The lame will leap, the dumb will speak, the praises of the Lamb. Mary, did you know that your baby boy is the Lord of all creation? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will someday rule the nations? Did you know that your baby boy was heaven's perfect lamb? The sleeping child you're holding is the great I am. Oh, Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know? Mary, 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 did you know? All right, so 2 times. Second time is, all right, so what is your broadcast schedule? Trayvon Gordon wants to know on Facebook Live. Our broadcast schedule is that we go live every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And one on Sundays.
One
New
on
Year's
Sunday.
Revolution.
Yeah,
Revolution. Resolution is we're going to have a great studio in the basement.
Right.
We're going to get every story together. And we're just going to be like, bam, bam. We're right there at 1 o'clock or like 1:01-ish. You know? 6 o'clock on Fridays. We have a channel, it's called Mass Faith 3. It's being censored right now, but we are fighting that. Okay, so hopefully we'll be back there because we finally broke YouTube censorship and started getting new people again, and suddenly squash you like a bug. And I told you I didn't want to go to the UK because it's always the daggone BBC censoring me. It's always the UK. I'm sorry. They don't want me there. They don't want me on the internet. They got little internet police and they're like, oh, you say things. Oh, you've got European news. Bam. We don't want you. We don't want our stuff to get out. They're so snobby over there.
We're like those army bugs.
The BBC are such
us.
snobs. They're like, oh, don't play all stuff. Copyright claim. We don't want anybody because we make people pay for subscriptions, yeah? And we don't want it to get out on YouTube. And we don't want YouTubers to talk about what we're talking about. But we want everybody to talk about what we're talking about. But we don't want them to talk about what we're talking about. Because we're the one talking about it.
All right, so... We're going to do a Christmas show. I don't know when it's going to be. It's going to be much happier than that. And it's going to be in the evening, I'm going to guess.
We should do it with that as the background. That'd be really nice. But I actually like the fire in the basement. So
yeah, me too. We'll have to figure it out. But we do want to celebrate Christmas with you guys. Once in Royal David City, Britt Baza is requesting. That's not one of those ones that's just like in our repertoire, in our wheelhouse that we do a lot. We could look into it. We'll get back with you on that. So you guys, we're going to see you on Friday for sure. And I hope you have a very Merry Christmas if we don't see you until Wednesday.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. All right, you guys, we love you. God loves you. God bless.
We're going to have our Christmas giveaways. We're fine.
We are going to do the Christmas giveaways. Okay? We have 3 items. We have Debbie's shirt that we're going to give away. We have Janice, Janice McKenzie's daughter made these beautiful brooches and necklaces and stuff out of stone. One of those we're going to do as a giveaway. And we are going to do a giveaway for G. Edward Griffin's...
The most important book that you can read.
The Creature from Jekyll Island. So what I have to do is come up with something that you have to do. You're going to have to do something. And I think it's going to involve our website because I would love to steer a lot of you guys there. So I think the registration for the giveaway is going to take place on www.resistancechicks.com. And I will share that with you guys.
I would like it to be a Christmas giveaway somehow.
I want it to be a Christmas giveaway.
We got to get their addresses somehow.
All right, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Lord willing, later today, I will put out a video with the rules to our giveaway. And then on our Christmas, usually you should give people like
Last time we did people's red film.
How about, hang on. I got a better idea. I have a better idea. How about for New Year's? We will give you the rules on our Christmas show. We will do the giveaway for New Year's. That gives people a week to register on the website. And I think that's fair. That's more than fair. So I think that's what we're going to do. And we will let you guys know. Britt Baza, your parcel hasn't shown up yet, but that doesn't mean it hasn't shown up yet. It just means it's not in our house, and I still need to check the P.O. box. I'm going to go tomorrow. So I think that covers all of the things that we need to talk about. Very excited about the giveaway. Even more excited once we actually implement it, because we've been talking about it for like 2 months since my birthday.
Little Drummer Boy. Did we play that? Did we sing that the other day?
Yeah, we did. All right, we love you. God loves you. God bless. We have a P.O. box. If you want to write us letters, we'll read them on air. P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. Remember, it is not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. On our Christmas show, we will be trying to read as many comments as possible. I want it to be an interactive show in addition to singing. So, Merry Christmas, ladies, and to all you folk and family out there. Great 2019 coming for all, Stuart the Brit says. Same to you, my friend. All right. God bless, guys.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid. But you called me.